Welcome to Building on a Budget Models. I'm Thomas.
I'm Greg.
Today we're building Darth Vader's TIE Advanced in 1 to 121st scale.
Now we're also going to be doing these other TIE fighters in the future to go for a big sort of Star Wars trench run diorama to go with the X-Wing fighters we've done previously. Here we are looking through the instructions. This is a relatively simple, easy click kit. However, it's important to add paint and decals if necessary to add as much detail as possible. There we have it. This one shouldn't take too long. It's a very nicely moulded model, already in the colours of the ship as a whole. Therefore, we chose to leave this mainly in the moulded plastic. There you can see the little Darth Vader pilot. Now, unfortunately, these Star Wars ships are all in slightly different scales. And you can see here that the much larger TIE fighter has a larger stormtrooper, and the front window is bigger too. Now, first thing we chose to do is to use some Revell matte black with a broad brush to do the vents here on the sort of wings. TIE stands for twin ion engine, so I suppose that each of these sort of wings are for the twin ion engines. Good thing about Revell acrylics is that any mistakes can be scratched off quite easily with a cocktail stick, and any gaps I filled in afterwards with some Tamiya panel line accent, which was very useful.
We added detail with the paint pen.
These are very useful for this kind of job, as the nib is very fine and can pick out small details like these inside the cockpit. We also added some exterior lights and other details using these too. The clear parts had quite a bit of flash compared to the rest, so those needed to be sanded.
I then put the window in the top.
This is the door to the cockpit, which you can choose to leave open should you want to look inside. The instructions ask for the cockpit window to be painted black. However, I chose to shade it in with this Tamiya smoke paint instead, and then used some light grey to do the window surround. There is a decal for this, but I felt that painting it looked better. Darth Vader then needs a little bit of sanding around his helmet where you can see a visible mould seam, and he was then painted with matte black on the cape, semi-gloss black on his body and gloss black on his helmet. Added a little bit of silver, red and green to his kind of chest piece, and he's also got the back of the cape here, which slots him into the chair.
We added the controls to the chair and put Darth Vader in place.
There he is. The cockpit then slots quite easily into place. As I said before, this is an easy click kit, so you don't need to use glue for any of these, but it is worthwhile just to make sure that the bonds are nice and secure. Controls there fit in front. Find it easier to put these two side pieces in first, and then put the part in front and behind him. I used some panel line accent to colour this kind of window mesh type shape thing behind him. And then these blunt tweezers were good to squeeze the parts together. Looks pretty good, I think. These two mechanical parts on either side were painted semi-gloss black. They slot into place very nicely. It's worth adding a little bit of extra thin cement to the base of the cockpit and also just behind those mechanical parts.
This went in easily.
But make sure not to push down on Darth Vader's head, as you could damage the model. The window slots in front of that. There's a little slot at the front to position it correctly. I think the Tamiya smoke gives a very nice kind of shaded effect, but still lets the light inside. This then needed a really good squeeze. If you've got any clamps or something like that, that's very useful. And these two parts go on the inside of the wings. There's a couple of little vents and things like that which you need to paint black. We found that some of the wing parts here were a bit of a tight fit, so you may need to do a little bit of sanding before pushing these into place.
We used the paint pen for the guns.
And there were a couple of little red marker lights underneath as well. It does come with decals, but we just chose to paint these. And there we have it. I did some light weathering with a Tamiya detail set. I used the gunmetal part just in a sort of backwards sweeping motion to give it a light weathering. Not going quite as overboard as I had done with the X-Wing, but just to make it look a little bit battle used. And there we have it. Greg and I really enjoyed building this one, and we're looking forward to making the TIE Fighters as well, and our diorama. I also used the app Photo Room to create these spacey looking pictures here. Thanks a lot for watching. Please do comment, like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.